All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're breaking down a mindset that has absolutely exploded online, especially for young guys looking to really level up their lives. We're talking about Andrew Tate's philosophy of potential. So, what are the core ideas he says can turn you into the ultimate version of yourself? Let's dive in and see the blueprint.
So, right at the heart of this whole thing is one single, really powerful belief. A perfect, unbeatable version of you already exists. As the source material puts it, there's a version of you who never fails. It is waiting for you. The whole journey then is about closing that gap between the person you are right now and the person you could become.
So how do you actually do that? Well, the philosophy lays out this 5-step roadmap. We're going to start with the vision of the ideal you, then we'll get into the engine, which is discipline, the fuel, which is pain, the battlefield of life, and finally, the winner's mindset that kind of ties it all together. Okay, so it all kicks off with a really simple but profound idea. The ideal you awaits. What does that even mean? It means you have to visualize the person you have the absolute potential to become, and you have to understand that getting there, it's a choice you can make. This philosophy really forces you to take a hard look in the mirror and see two different people. As this slide shows, on the left is the person you might be today. Distracted, a little too comfortable, maybe lazy. But on the right, that's the ideal you. Focused, powerful, successful. The only thing separating them, the choices you make every single day.
And let's be super clear about what this philosophy says the enemy is. It's not your genetics, it's not where you grew up, it's not your IQ. Nope. The single biggest barrier, the one thing holding you back from becoming that ideal person, is what the source calls monumental laziness. It's just a failure to act.
So if laziness is the big bad guy, what's your weapon? What do you use to fight it? Well, the answer is the second pillar of this entire philosophy, discipline. It's presented as the engine that drives all transformation. Think about how most of us think about discipline. It's usually tied to motivation or, feeling good about doing something. This philosophy, it just throws that whole idea right out the window. As you can see here, discipline is defined as an act of force. It's all about doing what you must do, especially when you really don't feel like doing it. And this isn't just like a friendly suggestion. It's framed as the core trait of a successful man. The argument is pretty simple. Your feelings are completely irrelevant to the job that needs to get done. Real power comes from being able to act no matter what your emotional state is, to just keep pushing forward even when every part of you wants to stop. And this slide, man, it just perfectly captures the idea with the Ferrari metaphor. You can have the best car in the world, a full tank of gas, and a perfect map to success. But guess what? Most people will still quit because the road gets a little tough. Without the discipline to keep driving through the rough patches, that Ferrari is just a really expensive piece of lawn art. Okay, so discipline is the engine. Got it. But, every engine needs fuel. So what powers this relentless drive forward? Well, the answer is our third pillar, and it's something most of us spend our entire lives trying to run away from: the power of pain. Modern culture tells us to seek comfort and avoid pain at all costs. This philosophy argues the complete opposite. It reframes pain not as something to avoid, but as the elixir of success, like it's the essential, almost magical ingredient that makes any real growth possible.
This slide lays it out almost like a chemical formula for creating a superhero. You mix in hard work, you add some discipline, but the reaction just doesn't happen without a catalyst. And that required catalyst? It's pain and suffering. According to this view, it's not optional. It's the one ingredient that forces you to transform.
So in this worldview, an easy life isn't a blessing. It's actually a curse that creates weak men. True strength, real confidence, greatness, those things aren't just given to you. They are forged in fire. The only way a man can become unbreakable is by going through hardship.
So why all this intensity? Why all the talk about discipline and pain? It's because this philosophy is built on one core assumption about the way reality works, which brings us to our fourth pillar. Life is a war.
Now, when it says war, it doesn't mean literal combat. It's a metaphor for constant zero-sum competition. The idea is that everything you want in life, the money, the car, the respect, it's all a limited resource that other men are fighting for too. For you to get what you want, someone else has to lose. This competitive worldview forces a very uncomfortable question, one that really pushes back against the modern obsession with just being happy. As the slide asks, would you rather be a happy loser or a stressed winner? The philosophy argues you can't be both. And here are the two options laid out. On the left, you've got the happy loser. Comfortable, always smiling, but completely insignificant. On the right, the stressed winner. Respected, important, powerful, but carrying the weight of constant pressure. The philosophy is crystal clear. The path to a meaningful life for a man is the path of the stressed winner.
All right, so if life is a war, and you've decided, okay, I'm going to be a stressed winner, how do you actually fight and win? That brings us to our final pillar, the winner's mindset. It's all about taking absolute control of the one and only thing you truly can, your own mind.
The foundation of this mindset is radical self-accountability. And what that means is everything is your fault. Even the weather. If it rains and you get soaked, it's your fault for not checking the forecast. I know it sounds crazy, but the logic here is that by taking the blame, you give yourself the power to find a solution and stop it from happening again. You go from being a victim to being a victor.
And this slide just sums that idea up perfectly. Your reality isn't dictated by your circumstances, it's dictated by the lens you choose to view them through. By deciding to see everything as your responsibility, you give yourself the ultimate power to actually change your world.
And that brings us right back to where we started. This whole philosophy begins with a promise of an ideal version of you, and it ends by putting 100% of the responsibility to create that person squarely on your shoulders. It leaves you with one final question that really only you can answer. The ideal you is waiting. What's stopping you?